When we plan a practical, you need to make sure that you're covering these headings. So your prediction, the variables, your equipment you'll use, the method, and the risks. So we'll start with the prediction, and if you remember the prediction, you need to say what you think is going to happen in the practical. But most importantly, you need to say why you think that's going to happen. It doesn't really matter if you're right or wrong at this point. We can talk about that later in the write-up. With the variables, you need to make sure you've covered the three different types. So there is IV, the independent variable, DV, which is your dependent variable, and CV, which you might have more than one of, which will be your control variables. So your independent variable is the thing you are deliberately changing. The dependent variable is the thing that you are going to measure. And the control variables are everything you are going to keep the same to make your test fair. So the independent variable in the practical, that is the thing you're going to look at. So if you're going to measure the stretch of a spring, then that would be the thing that you change, and it might be masses that you add onto that spring. The DV in the same example would be the measurement for how far the spring is stretched, and you'd need to think about what units you'd measure that in. The control variables will be everything you keep the same. So in the same example, it might be you need to make sure that you've got the same springs, you're using the same ruler, and they add in the same amount of masses each time. There may be more. With your equipment, this is everything you need to do the practical. If you want to do this even better, what you can do is you can also think about why you are going to use that equipment. So why have you chosen that particular type? And if it's measuring, so if you've got a measuring jug, why have you picked it of a specific size? So why might you have chosen a 20 milliliter measuring jug over a 100 milliliter measuring jug? The method is where you write down what you're going to do, and you might need a diagram for it. In your method, you need to think about writing something that somebody who doesn't have any experience would be able to try and follow. So if you're going to talk about the equipment, you need to say how you're going to set it up and break it down step by step, so it's really, really clear what they need to do. If you're going to do a diagram, remember you need to do that in pencil, and you need to use a ruler where you can with two-dimensional drawings, and you need to try and label everything clearly. Finally, with the risks, you need to make sure that you have covered everything you think is a real risk in the practical. So it's not a good idea to include silly things like the world might end or something just a little bit out there. Make sure that you focus on the things that you've got in front of you that could be a real problem. In the next videos for planning, I'll show you how to design a good table, and then we'll look at writing conclusions and evaluations for your practical.